I have a lot planned for this weekend. Don't think I'm going to get it all done, but we're going to do as much as we possibly can. Hello, family. Welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Vicki, and you're with Grammy in the kitchen. So I want to put some food in the freezer. I made chicken stock, and I need to get those in the canner. And I need to make pasta sauce so I can stop bringing in a can of tomatoes and a can of tomato sauce and tomato paste and making pasta sauce each and every time I need pasta sauce, which is not a hassle, but opening up a jar would be so much easier. So I want to make pasta sauce. Will we get everything done? Probably not. Whatever we do today, we'll do today. If we have to continue tomorrow, that's okay also. So let me get you updated. So I went to the pantry, got, I think, everything I need. I do have some potatoes, some russet potatoes in a pot of water boiling because I'm going to make breakfast burritos with pork sausage, potatoes, and egg and cheese. I want to make lunch snack burritos with ground meat, kidney beans, rice, fajita seasoning, and put those in the freezer. And I also need to make dinner, which will be on Saturday's video. I still have a half a gallon of milk from a week ago's milk pickup, and I have a gallon of milk from this past week's milk pickup. I'm not going to make mozzarella. I know, believe it or not, I'm not making mozzarella. I want to make some macaroni and cheese and put those in the freezer. Plus, if we have time, I need to make some freezer pizzas also and get those in the freezer. So if that's something you're interested in, let's get this day started. It's going to be a wonderful day. So I do have whole potatoes, peeling and everything, in a pot on the stove boiling. We need to cook our sausage, our ground meat. The rice is cooking in the Instant Pot. Potatoes are over here. Rice is for the lunch snack burritos. Potatoes are for the breakfast burritos. I went to the store the other day and picked up the Walmart brand of it's called flour tortillas, but it says 6 grams of net carb each. These are, I believe, 8 inches. So I picked up 4, and there's 8 in each one. I'm going to turn 2 of these, so that's 16 into breakfast burritos and 16 into lunch snack burritos. From the freezer, I went ahead and pulled out some mozzarella cheese for the pizza and some pepper jack cheese for the lunch snack burritos and the breakfast burritos. Grab you a cup of coffee, a hot tea, or a beverage of your choice. Let's get this day started. I am using the Dutch oven to brown the meat because I'm going to go ahead and do 3 pounds, and this is ground turkey. That's just what I picked up, just what I'm using. Use any kind of ground meat you like. This will be enough for the lunch snack burrito as well as the dinner I'm planning on making tonight. Alright, so let me get all this cooked, brown, and then we'll move on. I did add a little bit of avocado oil to the bottom of the pan. Alright, see you in a few minutes. We have all the components to make the lunch snack burritos. So I have a can of red chili beans that I drained and rinsed. These are home canned beans, but you can use store-bought, will be just fine. I have all the ground turkey cooked, draining into a bowl. We're going to take half of this and turn it into burritos. If you want to know my recipe for the fajita seasoning, I'll put it down in the description below. It makes about a pint and it stores fine. It will get a little clumpy because we do not have any anti-caking ingredients in here. So just go in here, I usually just take the back of a spoon and loosen it up, and then it's ready to go. I have whole skin on peeled potatoes that I boiled until a knife would insert and comes out easily. I have some tomato paste, some green chilies, pepper jack cheese, and our tortillas. The rice is done. I'm letting that cool off a bit, but we need to take care of these potatoes first. All right, so we're just going to remove the peeling. I just take a knife and I scrape it, and the peeling will come off super easy. Now, if you're using like a yellow Yukon potato, you can actually leave the skins on. I just don't care for the flavor of the russet skins. So I'm just peeling them, removing any ugly parts, and they're still a little warm. And then I just want to cut them up a little bit smaller than normal, probably about like 1/2 inch cubes. That way it doesn't tear the tortillas when I make the burritos. You know what? The potatoes actually go into the breakfast burrito, but that's okay. We did not need to rush on the potatoes. So I'm just going to peel them and stick them in the refrigerator. I got ahead of myself. Okay, potatoes are done. I do want to take half of this ground browned turkey. That looks good. Let me put this aside. We put about a tablespoon of tomato paste, 2 tablespoons of fajita seasoning. We'll start with that. Grammy's making a mess. All right, let's taste it. Good. Let's add the green chilies. I love the flavor that the green chilies gives to any kind of Mexican or Spanish food. It's so good. We do not need the potatoes. So let me move that out of the way. So here's the rice. It was 1 cup of rice to 2 to 3 cups of stock. Cooked it on the rice button, which took 12 minutes. I'm going to add the kidney beans. Stir that in. There we go. So we have our meat that's seasoned with fajita seasoning, tomato paste. We have our rice with salt and pepper, chicken broth cooked on this rice setting, which took 12 minutes. I add a can of drained, rinsed kidney beans. We have 1 of our packs of grated pepper jack cheese. Let's go to work. So I'm hoping to get 16, but we will take whatever we can get. So we're going to put a little bit of our meat mixture, maybe 1/4 cup. That looks good. Some rice and beans, again, about 1/4 cup. And about 2 tablespoons of cheese of your choice. Now we're going to wrap these up burrito style, fold in the sides, fold it over, give it a little slide. And I'd like to do a little tuck right here. One burrito. Let's continue. So we have our carbs in the tortilla and the rice. We have our protein with the meat and the beans. We have our fat with the cheese. So it has everything we need. Let me go ahead and get them all made, and then I'll show you how I'm going to wrap them up, and we'll put them in the freezer. And then when we want to eat them, all we have to do. So we ended up with 12 burritos, but that's okay. Take one of our burritos out of the freezer, put it in a refrigerator for about a day or 2. And since we are wrapping them in parchment paper, we can actually put that in the microwave to heat them up. So I like going at a diagonal this way. So I roll it, and I just cigar roll the whole thing. Just like that. And I do have the breakfast sausage in the same Dutch oven that we cooked the ground turkey in. It's okay. And we're going to go ahead and get started on our breakfast burritos. So I have it labeled ground turkey, beans, and rice burritos. And this is a gallon size freezer Ziploc bag. You know what? I'm just going to leave those 2 in the refrigerator. And this will go into the freezer. These 2 will go into the refrigerator, and we can actually eat these midnight snack tonight or lunch tomorrow. So let me go ahead and wrap up the leftover ground turkey, get them into the refrigerator until I'm ready to cook dinner. In the meantime, I can get caught up on some dishes, and then we'll work on the breakfast burritos. Don't go anywhere, stick around. So I have 10 eggs. I do want to add a little bit of salt and pepper and a little bit of water. So the sausage is cooked. I have it draining in this bowl right here. We're going to be using the same Dutch oven that we cooked the ground turkey and the pork breakfast sausage for the eggs. So I do have it heated up. I have not washed it. It's okay. We're going to put sausage in our burritos anyway, so having sausage in the eggs is fine. Got the pan heating up. And we just want to scramble that a minute. So once that's scrambled, we get that into a bowl. We'll pull the potatoes out of the refrigerator, get that seasoned. We have our sausage here. We have the tortillas right here, and then we can go ahead and start building the breakfast burritos. So the breakfast burritos, we're actually going to use taco seasoning. And again, this is a homemade taco seasoning, and I'm just taking the back end of a spoon, just trying to loosen it up a bit. And I know we're not going to need all these potatoes. So I'm just going to put maybe half. That looks good. I'm going to put 1 tablespoon of taco seasoning. That is all we're going to do with the potatoes. If we need more, we'll have them. We'll stick this in the refrigerator. So I have 10 eggs cooked, 2 pounds of sausage, some potatoes with taco seasoning, and a pepper jack cheese. Now we're going to build our burritos just like we did with the other burritos. A little bit of sausage. Some eggs, potatoes. We don't want to make them overstuffed. And then some cheese. So again, we have our carbs with the potato and the tortillas. We have our protein with the eggs and the sausage. And we have our fat with the cheese. Again, fold in the sides. Push everything together. Tuck it in just a bit right here on the edge. And roll. So sausage. Egg. Potato and cheese. All right, and we'll get all these wrapped, and then we'll put them in parchment paper just like we did with the other ones. Put this in a Ziploc bag. Take it out of the refrigerator for about a day or two. Sorry, repeat. Take it out of the freezer. Put in the refrigerator for about a day or two. And then we can just microwave it right in the parchment paper. So I have a little bit of potatoes left over and a little bit of sausage left over. And we still have our rice and beans. Might make a different burrito just to get rid of those ingredients. And I do have some tortillas left over also. We're going to wrap them the same way. We have 14 breakfast burritos. So we have 2 bags, 7 in each, a total of 14 breakfast burritos going into the freezer. Now for what's left over, not counting this turkey right here because that's going to be dinner. So we have a little bit of breakfast sausage, a little bit of rice and beans, and some potatoes, some cheese, plus I have extra cheese. I'm just going to go ahead and finish this bag of tortillas. Looks like I have 7. So we're just going to make this up as we go. A little bit of breakfast sausage, a little bit of rice and beans, a few little pieces of potatoes, and some cheese. And I'm just going to call this leftover burrito. So it's going to be high in carbs because it's got the rice and the potatoes. But that's okay. We can make these any way we want. So we got all the sausage used and we have all the potatoes used. But we still have rice and beans. We'll just eat that as rice and beans. I love rice and beans. I might have overstuffed this one just a bit, but it's okay. And that leaves us with 2 tortillas. Clean up my mess a bit. 5 leftover burritos. And the leftover tomato paste, I just put a tablespoon, roughly-ish, in parchment paper. And I'm just going to put this in the freezer. Whenever we have tomato paste and we don't use the whole can, to stick it on some parchment paper, put it in a Ziploc bag, and keep it in the freezer. That way when you need tomato paste, a tablespoon or 2, you don't have to open a whole new can and let that one go to waste. You have some in your freezer. So the next thing I want to make is macaroni and cheese. Because we have all that milk in the refrigerator, and I don't want to make mozzarella. I actually want to make something that I can put in the freezer and then pull it out as I need it when we want macaroni and cheese. So I bought 2 of these containers. Well, they were 5-pack, but I bought 2 of them. And the size is, might as well say, almost 8 inches by 5.5 inches by 1 3/4 of an inch. And they come with lids that you can put on top, close it up, put that in your freezer. So I have 2 of those, and they cost $3.48 for 5. Now, as for the pasta, I thought I had more macaroni type pasta in my pantry. I do not. I have 1 pound of macaroni, a 1/2 pound of shells, maybe a 1.5 cups of swirly macaroni, and I have some ditalini. So I'm just going to cook each one of these individual, let them strain, and then once all the pasta is cooked, we're going to go ahead and get started on a big, massive pot of cheese sauce. So I have a whole stick of butter in the same pot that I cooked all the pasta in, and I did cook them individually. I just want to melt this. We're going to add a little flour, make a roux, some salt, and some pepper. And then we'll add the milk. I have the heat on medium. So we have 8 tablespoons of butter. We're going to add up to 8 tablespoons or a cup of flour. So I'm going to do a little bit at a time. want a paste, but not too thick of a paste. That looks like about a half a cup. A little bit more flour. That's what we're looking for right there. I have a half a gallon of milk. We're going to slowly start adding our milk. Whisk that into the flour mixture. Make sure we get out all the lumps. We're going to let that thicken just a bit, and then we'll add our cheese. And don't forget, we're making a lot of macaroni and cheese to put in the freezer. I'm just trying to heat up this milk. And then once the milk gets hot, it will activate our roux and it'll thicken up and be more of a gravy type before we add the cheese. All right, we can start seeing it slowly thickening. The consistency of the milk has changed just a bit. There we go, we're getting there. So I have 2 packages of our frozen pepper jack cheese. Well, they were frozen, they're thawed now. That's going in. And 1 pack of Parmesan cheese. It's going to be extra cheesy. And we just want all the cheese to melt and turn this milk and cheese into a cheese sauce. Then once it's all melted, then we'll taste it for salt and pepper, and then we can go ahead and build the macaroni and cheese so we can get it in the freezer. Everything has melted. Let me taste it. All it needs is just a pinch of salt. That is it. Burner off. I went ahead and cooked all the pasta that we were talking about earlier. So the corkscrew type macaroni and the dettolini I cooked together. I had about 3 ounces of the corkscrews, and then I added enough of the dettolini to equal a pound. I ended up with 3 containers. The shells was a little bit more than a half a pound. I ended up with 2 containers. In the sink, I have the macaroni. I went ahead and cooked that whole pound. We got our cheese sauce on the stove. Let's go ahead and put everything together so we can let it cool off and we can get them in the freezer. So here's our cheese sauce. And if I have to use the macaroni so we can use all of this cheese sauce, that's not a problem. That's why I went ahead and cooked it. And whatever is going to be left over is what we're going to make for dinner. Get that stirred in really well. Oh, look at all that cheesy goodness. Macaroni and cheese is one of our favorite side dishes. And the starch from the pasta, when we cook this, will also thicken that sauce up. Alright, that looks good right there. Next, this is a 1/2 cup measure ladle. So I'm putting about 2 cups of sauce in each one of these. And this is the regular macaroni. We have 6 containers of macaroni and cheese that we could put in the freezer. Perfect. Now I do want these to cool off completely before I put them in the freezer. So I'm going to cover them up just so they can cool off. And then we'll label the lids, wrap them up, and stick them in the freezer. The last thing I'm going to do today is make the pizza dough for the pizzas, because I like for the dough to sit in the refrigerator and do its rise at least 3 or 4 hours, up to 24 hours. So if I make the dough tonight, then tomorrow morning it will be ready for us to make the pizzas. And just for added security, I do like to double wrap them in plastic wrap. Then once I get them all wrapped up, then we can get them in the freezer. And when we're ready to have one of these for dinner, I'll take it out of the freezer, put it in the refrigerator for at least 2 days, because it'll cook better once it's thawed versus trying to cook it as frozen. So I'll put it in the refrigerator for about 2 days. I'll take the plastic wrap off. I'll take this cardboard lid off, wrap it up with aluminum foil, put it in the oven for 350 degrees for about 30-45 minutes. Hour would be the max until everything is hot. Now if you're cooking it on frozen, start with a lower temperature, like 250, until it starts to thaw. Then once it's thawed, then you can put it on 350 and cook it until it's hot. But again, before we put it in the oven, we want to take the plastic wrap off and the cardboard lid and cover it with aluminum foil. So I have 6 macaroni and cheese going in the freezer. So let me tell you what my pizza dough is. When I make pizzas, I like using the large cast iron skillet. I have 2 of those, and I like to make pizzas, but I don't want to make them all the time, but yet I want to have pizza ready. So that's why I do freezer or frozen pizzas. So this recipe will do 6 10-inch or 12-inch pan pizzas. So it's 3 cups of water, 4 teaspoons of yeast, 1/4 cup of sugar. Then we add 8 cups of flour, 4 teaspoons of salt, and 1/4 cup of oil. And I use olive oil. Just mix it in the stand mixer until it all comes together. So I reuse my gallon-sized Ziploc bags that already have oil in them, and I just store them in the freezer in between use. So that way I'm not wasting bags and I'm not wasting oil. So I'm going to divide this by eyeball into 6 equal portions. So I divide it in half. And then I'm going to divide each half into thirds. It's okay if they're not perfect. And then I'm just going to roll it up into a nice little dough ball. Pinching the bottom closed. Now you can make your dough any size you like. You can make them smaller and have personal pizzas. You can make them bigger and put it on a pizza pan, and you can have family pizzas. So I'm going to put it in my pre-oiled gallon-size Ziploc bag. I have a lot of these bags because sometimes the bags get lost in the freezer and I'll get new bags and then I find the bags, but that's okay. But you can just take a gallon-sized Ziploc bag, drizzle just a little bit of oil in there, put your dough ball in the oiled bags, stick it in the refrigerator, and then the next time you make pizzas, you'll save your Ziploc bags, put them in another Ziploc bag, and put them in the freezer. So this is where we're going to leave it today. So I just want to say thank you for hanging out with me in the kitchen while we were able to get some breakfast burritos, some lunch and snack burritos. We made 6 macaroni and cheeses, and now we're going to make pizzas the next time we get together, but we do have the dough ready. So if you don't mind, give this video a thumbs up. While you're at it, please subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell because we will finish our freezer stock up on the next video because we still have more things we want to do. Until next time, you have a blessed day. Bye, family. In the refrigerator you go until tomorrow. And the extra Ziploc bags will go into the freezer. All right, now I get to clean the kitchen again. I love coffee for heat. If you want to know my recipe for heat, which is a really odd number, because I had 12, no, I had 12, 14, an odd number. And when I'm ready to eat one of these, I will take it out of the freezer, stick it in the refrigerator for 2. I don't like your view because you're going to be